This is Brian Margolis, and welcome to the Simplify Your Strategy, Magnify Your Results podcast, where on each episode I use the pillar system to help a sales pro, entrepreneur, or other results-based professional create a weekly strategy to run a simple, more lucrative business. A strategy so simple it can fit on an index card, but so powerful it's actually helped create multiple seven-figure earners and is now licensed by some of the largest companies in the world to create strategies for their teams. If you'd like a free copy of my book on exactly how to do this, or want to be considered as a guest on a future episode, head on over to productivitygiant.com. Enjoy the episode.
I just like to
All right.
show a face real quick. Nothing.
How you doing?
Good.
All right. I have the little tape above mine, but
No worries. I've got a little sliding window. That's actually, you should get that. You can slide it
there
off.
you go. Video on and off. All right. So it's been 7 weeks or so since we put together your pillars, right?
Yep.
And at the time, we put together 8 pillars, which is a lot usually. But a lot of them were, small blocks at time. So as a whole, they didn't take up a ton of time. And so based on our 2-second talk before we started recording, in complete honesty, you're going to tell me what's been going on the last 7 weeks, right?
Yeah. So, the good things, right? So when I started following the pillar system, your system, it was in the summertime, and I put together kind of like a pillar strategy, and you and I reviewed. But before we spoke, it was already in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is a good thing. So what happened was, as a result of following that process, I got really busy to a point where I kind of slacked off the pillar system. Where one day I would follow it, and the next day I just couldn't because I was inundated with work.
Right.
So, for instance, I just started again today, and I got one touch I called my mom because I was 3 family touches for the week,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't spoken to anyone in 7 weeks. So,
Okay.
so, but for the holidays, I believe Thanksgiving, I did speak to the whole family, which was great. But and now I'm in reactive mode. Before, because of my activity level was pretty low, and I was trying to drum up business.
Mm-hmm.
I followed my touches, my 25 a day. I did some target marketing, and they all came to fruition. And then I went to a couple of events, and then the wheels came off. Right, I couldn't.
Right.
I have a big proposal due. That's a couple $1 million. I've got opportunities. I got meetings. I had to go downtown. I got an office now in the city, which I didn't have before. So now there's travel time, and I kind of fell off the wagon. So that's where I'm at right now.
All right. Good. All right. I appreciate the honesty. So here's the thing about the pillars, right? If you remember from the book, you have the 3 categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of those categories is the urgent and significant, meaning, it's significant to your income. And it's urgent because it has to be done at a certain time or by a certain time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by a certain time, let's throw that under proposals and, prepping for meetings and things like that you've scheduled. At a certain time, actual meetings, right?
You mean urgent, significant?
Correct.
Yeah, those are meetings that I set in my calendar. Those are with prospects, either a demo, a discovery call, or a presentation. Those are the 3 categories.
Well, right. But the other thing that falls under the urgent, significant category is something that has to be done by a certain time.
Correct.
Meaning, you have a proposal due next week, or before your meeting next week, you have to prepare and do A, B, and C, or, all the stuff that's causing you now to, in a lot of ways, run around, right?
Correct.
That doesn't mean they're not significant, because these things obviously are what you get paid on, right? The meetings, the sales, the proposals, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So where I'm going with this is, as you start finding out, and this is pretty much everyone's experience who is consistent with their pillars at some level, is the pillars, which are in the proactive category, tend to drive the urgent significant category, right?
Correct.
They tend to fill up your calendar with, hopefully in a good way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of what you were experiencing from basically doing the pillar system before we talked the first time. Okay.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happened. I used that system to fuel opportunities that became urgent and significant.
Correct. And so
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. But what I want to talk about right now then is there's a couple of things I want to talk about, right? Sometimes there are seasons to a business, right? You know, and I don't mean like seasons of the year. I mean, you know, you're prospecting, you're marketing, you're trying to fill up the funnel. And then at some point that funnel fills up and all of a sudden now you're inside that funnel, you're doing the meetings, the proposals, the selling, the demos, all that kind of stuff. And then you get so caught up in that world that right around the corner, if you're not careful, things dry up again, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of this cycle that you repeat. So that's what we want to avoid with the pillar system, right? Which is, you know, for me, for example, in my own business, I know we had to, reschedule this particular call, and I'm jam-packed. I'm doing client meetings on New Year's Eve. I'm doing client meetings next week. I just have nowhere to fit people, right? And that's a good thing.
Yep.
But I am also continuously prospecting, right? Because two things happen when you continuously prospect, even when you're busy. Number one, obviously, you avoid that desert coming down the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then number two is as your demand gets higher and higher, you eventually can raise your prices, right? And when I say raise your prices, you're not going to raise the price on the product for you, for example. In my case, I actually raised my prices, right? But
you mean your consulting hours, right?
What people pay me, what packages I offer, you know, what I'm willing to do for that money, you know, my prices go up as my demand goes up, just like, you know, economics 101, right?
Absolutely.
And so ultimately, believe it or not, by continuing to prospect, even when I'm extremely busy, doesn't mean I take clients, just so we're clear. I get people in the pipeline. Sometimes I tell them, hey, we can't work together for 2 months, right? But I'm constantly prospecting. But in your case, when I say raise your prices, what I mean is when your pipeline's filled and you constantly have things in the pipeline and things like that, you raise your prices in the way where, you know, you can start only focusing on maybe larger accounts or closer accounts or more ideal accounts, right?
Yep.
You can now be a little pickier.
Be more selective.
That's exactly it. That's what I mean by raise your prices, meaning, you know, on day one working for this company you're with, and some guy that, you know, maybe isn't the most serious prospect, you're not even sure they can afford your, you know, what you're selling them or whatever, you might take the call anyway, right?
Right.
Let's talk. Maybe
summertime, I would have taken any call.
Well, right. And you're right. You'll take any call, which is, by the way, the smart thing to do at that point, right?
Right.
You're nurturing things for the future. You're taking lower percentage shots, all that. But as time goes on, and I think you're following what I'm saying, by keeping your pipeline filled and not going through the ups and downs of busy, then slower, prospect, busy, starting that cycle over, you can keep your prices high, right? You can continue to be more selective. Doesn't mean you're rude to people, doesn't mean you ignore people. But, you know, when someone asks you for a demo or says they're interested, and you genuinely tell them, listen, everything's going great, I can't complain, and it's only a positive thing from my end, but I have about, you know, 2 straight weeks worth of demos, a lot of interest right now. You know, can we connect at the end of this month? You know, could you lose that business? You might lose the business, but that's a great place to be, right?
Yeah, and there's no way I could lose that because I do have a team that could take on those demos for me.
Even better. So you have more bandwidth.
Correct.
Perfect.
Right. I've got an SDR team, and I could just say, His name is Austin. Say, Austin, listen, I really can't do this demo. Why don't you do it? And then if there's bubbles up, then let me know and I'll get involved.
Sure. And again, that goes under the banner of raising your prices, right?
Correct.
Meaning now you can push things that you would have never pushed to him. You can now push those things to him. Okay. So then the question becomes, if, because when you're firing on all cylinders with your pillars, here's ultimately what happened. Phase one is, your pipeline gets filled. You can ultimately raise your prices. And then the other thing down the road is you actually wind up reducing your pillars, meaning, right now you're getting to the point where, aha moment, right?
Yeah.
You're getting to the point where, okay, I need to spend 30 minutes a week working on my stories. I need to spend, I need to do this many prospect touches. I need to do this and that. But you might get to a point where, you know what? Of course my story can get better, but right now apparently it's good enough because sales are extremely high, right? My prices are getting higher. My sales are high. Of course I'm a 7 and I could become an 8, or I'm an 8 and I could become a 9. But honestly, the opportunity cost of doing that is too high, right?
Correct.
I work with some people who are uber successful. They basically have 2 pillars a week, 2 to 3 pillars a week. And basically it's like, as long as I do A, B, and C, everything else will take care of itself. Okay. And so I'm not saying we're there yet, but I want to talk about not necessarily reducing your pillars right now. We can certainly talk about that, but I want to talk about structuring your week using some of those cap strategies we talked about, so that maybe right now you can juggle both. You can hit your pillars, but also handle the workload, right?
Right.
And so the first cap strategy that strikes me, all right, is the one in the book I talk about with time blocking and routine.
Correct.
Where, I address Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law basically says, listen, the time you have to complete a task, right? That task will expand to fit that time. Okay. So what that means to you practically on the ground is control your mornings, right?
So task to fit, you would subconsciously, if you allocate 30 minutes, it's going to take you 30 minutes. If you allocate 10 minutes, it's going to take 10 minutes. It's the same thing as budgets.
Right. If you give yourself the whole day to do it, it'll take the whole day.
Exactly.
Think about when you go on vacation, right? Think if you had a flight tomorrow morning, and you and is it your wife?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you and your wife are going on a vacation. You have a flight tomorrow morning. And you decide to stay home from work today to get ready. So you have this whole to-do list, right? Of stuff you got to do, get the dog to this person, pack this, prep that, all the stuff you have to do before you go away for 2 weeks or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to button this up, set my email on autoresponder, whatever. If you woke up this morning and started doing that, you'd probably finish up tonight, right? You'd get everything done.
Yeah, but I wouldn't allocate that much time.
No. I understand. What I'm saying is, but if you actually worked a full day today and got home at 3:00, maybe you left an hour or two early or something, you would still get everything done to make that flight. And if something happened, and guess what? My point is, you understand where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Everything will get done. And when stuff doesn't get done, when you literally run out of time, the things that don't get done are honestly the things that shouldn't get done.
Right.
You might have thought they had to get done, but in the end, it was like, you know what? I wanted to, but I didn't. Right. Okay.
Right.
So relating that to your sales business, to your business, it's the reason I talk about in my book why I work 7 to 10 every day is my time, right? That is when every day, I can tell you twice this year, maybe 3 times if I'm not thinking of something, but I can think of 2 times where I had a scheduled call or meeting before 10 a.m. in the morning, right? Now, again, that doesn't count my travel. If I'm traveling to do an event, that's different. But when I'm working from home, which is most days, most weeks, 7 to 10 is just, it's not available. It's already blocked out in my calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I ever get a client that makes unhappy or a prospect? Probably, right? But here's
Right.
what I know. If from 7 to 10 every day, that's 15 hours a week, I work on my stuff, my pillars, building my business, getting the proactive things done. From 10 o'clock till whenever, everything else will get done. At that point, I can book my day. I can be reactive. I can deal with fires. I can go all right. Whatever happens, happens. By the end of the day, I'll get everything done that needs to be done. And all that little stuff that should fall through the cracks does fall through the cracks, right?
Okay. You take care of the big rocks first.
That's exactly it. And so for someone like you, now again, I'm going to say this and it might not seem realistic, but what time do you normally get into the office in the morning?
So that's an interesting question. I'm a creature of habit when it comes to physical things, meaning my physical health.
Okay.
So I've got a prescribed regiment, and that might be the same thing, from Monday through Friday. Wake up Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I go to Insanity, and that's from 6 to 6:45. So I get up at 5:15 to prepare.
Okay.
Get my gym stuff on. Get some food. Get a cup of coffee. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday is that, and then Tuesday, Thursday I do heavy lifting, so that I get up a little later. So at 5:45 I get up because that doesn't start to 6:30, and incidentally I have a trainer. Do I need her? No. But
Makes you show up.
Makes me show up, and I'm consistent with her. So I got results that I need because of her. And people are always like, Karloff, you don't really need her. I'm like, no, I do, because if it's not for her,
right?
It's only $30 a session, which is affordable. But
you don't need her to teach you what exercises to do.
No.
You need her because you're not going to let her down. You're going to show up because you're paying for it and she's waiting for you.
Yep. Like if I go out the night before, I have a little hangover, I know myself. The next day I'd be like, I'm going to get some sleep, forget about the world. But since I know I have an appointment with her, I'm up and I'm ready and I'm going to the gym. But anyway, so that's that in the morning. And then your question was what time I get in the office. So
yeah.
Then I take my kids to school, and then I'm back. So around 7:30 a.m., I technically could be in the office.
Okay.
And I say technically because not all the time I want to go to the office. Like I'm at the house, and my office is in the house. So I might read the paper.
Okay. Let me just clear something up here. Your office is in the house?
Yeah, I have an home office as well.
Oh, I thought you said that you have an office in the city now.
I do, but I don't need to go there at a certain time. Like today, I got here at 10.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and I'm not here tomorrow. I'm going to be at home. And then the last 2 days, I was at home, and then Monday I was here. So,
do you do a lot of on-site appointments?
I try to. That's one of my goals is to instead of taking a call. I'm in the city. I say let's meet.
Right.
Let's go. Let's have a cup of coffee, or let's meet at your office. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So here's what I would say in a very simple way. Now, again, this is simple. It sounds easy, and we'll talk about how to do it. But I'm guessing you're based on what you've told me. The number one solution for you is probably going to be to control the first 2 hours of your workday, right?
Okay, that's something I'm learning. Okay,
right. Meaning, if you technically are ready to go at 7:30 in your home office, then is it easier? I'm guessing it's easier to get in the city if you leave a little later, right?
Yeah, so the mornings always the trains are crowded, people running around.
Yeah, sure.
So I could actually work from home.
Yeah.
Do a bunch of things,
right.
And then go into the city. It will,
correct.
And unless there's an appointment I have to do at 9, which is seldom. But when I do, I have to come in at an 8 o'clock train, and then I have to come in earlier. But now I have an office to go to.
Yes. So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, this would be me. 7:30 to 9:30 every morning should be a standing appointment with yourself, right? You should own 7:30 to 9:30. That is you building your business, working on your business, right? That is you hitting your pillars essentially. But you can do other things during that time, right? I'm not talking about check email and little stuff. I mean, the stuff, basically your pillars, or if you do have to work on a proposal, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you should own that time. If it's prospecting, whatever it is. What then mentally should happen to you over time, like it has to me and a lot of my clients, is you get real good and you actually start believing the truth, which is you control your schedule, Karloff. Okay? Are there exceptions? There may be. But as long as that's exactly what they are, they're exceptions, they're not the rule. Meaning, when you have a client and you're excited that they want to talk to you and they say, hey, how's 9:30 or how's 9? You don't even have to look at your calendar, although you should pause for a couple of seconds like you did. And you should go, you know what? Actually, that won't work. Could we do something later in the day? Oh, I can't do anything later. Okay, then what about the next day or the following week, right? Now, this sounds like blasphemy to some salespeople, right?
Yep.
But the amount of business you will actually lose by controlling your own schedule, okay, is negligible, right? I always ask people for an example of when that happened. The people who swear they can't do this and they can't name one. Well, let's pretend it happens. Let's pretend you lose an account 1, maybe 2 a year because of this, right? Which I don't even think that'll happen, but let's pretend it happens. The amount of money and sales you will make because you own your mornings will far outweigh that. It won't even be close. We're talking about, pebbles and boulders here, okay? And so to me, and again, I know this seems a little crazy.
It doesn't. Actually, it doesn't, Brian.
To me, 7:30 to 9:30 should be your time. And then again, if you're going to stay at home that day, then obviously you can do a 9:30 call. If you're going to go into the city, then, you know the time it takes to get you there. Your first call shouldn't be till 10 or to 10:30 or whatever it's going to be, right?
Right, but there's 40 minutes of train time. Now, do I keep the 7:30 to 9:30 inclusive of the train time, or 7:30 to 9:30?
No, 7:30 to 9:30 is you working. If you're not, the train, you can find a way to make the train productive, or you can use it to rest.
Right? I actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I listen to books and I listen to music on that train. It actually fuels me. When I get off the train, I'm ready to go.
And that's actually good. You read one of my CAP strategies was change your mood, right?
Yeah.
I sometimes listen to trainings before I start coaching people. If I'm not in the right frame of mind, I will take the time to listen to certain audios, listen to certain trainers, listen to certain music, because I'm much more effective when I'm in the right state of mind, obviously, much more productive, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the other thing. This is also when you should be doing your most critical work, meaning the work that requires the most mental energy, which is working on your stories, which is prospecting, which is sharpening the axe, right? Which is doing research. You're going to listen. If starting at 10 o'clock or 10:30, you have 6 straight appointments one day, right? Some are phone, some are in person, however it's laid out. Here's what I promise you. You're built like me. You're going to get it done. You're going to do your 6 appointments, right? It's not like you're not going to show up to them.
No, that's right. You're committed to it.
But right. So my point is, I don't care how mentally tired you get as the day goes on. You're going to do what you have to do, right? And even if you're mentally tired, if you ever noticed, you rise to the occasion once you're on the phone with a client or when you're in front of them. Of course you do, right? Of course you rise to the occasion. The point is, the way you should be thinking is, look, if after 9:30 my entire day falls apart, my kids have to be picked up from school, my roof leaks, my whatever, I still had a great day.
That's right.
Right? That's how you want to be thinking. I don't know if I told you this. It might have been someone else. And so hopefully the people who wind up listening to these recordings down the road don't, they're going to hear me say the same crap over and over. But, there's a series of books by Tim Ferriss, Tools of Titans and Tribe of Mentors.
What is it? Tim who?
Tim Ferriss, Ferris.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy who wrote The 4 Hour Work Week.
Oh, I knew I recognized that. I read that book.
Yes. And you're still not working a 4-hour work week. Imagine that. So he wrote.
I love his cover. He had a red palm tree.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the story offline about that book and why it was so successful.
Oh,
but
okay.
So he's got 2 books that he published not too long ago. They're like these tomes. One's called Tools of Titans. One's called Tribe of Mentors, right? And it's basically, he has one of the most downloaded, if not the most downloaded business, marketing, sales, entrepreneur podcast in the world. And he's interviewed everybody, right? These books are just summaries of those interviews, right? Extracting all the great stuff. The idea being, if you like what you're reading in those little 2-page summaries or whatever, then you can go listen to the full audio, the full interview.
Right. Same thing I did with you.
Right. And so the pattern that winds up emerging from these books that I just couldn't ignore about really successful people was, number one, at some level, not all of them obviously, but most of them, at some level, they control the first part of their day, right? Whether they're a CEO that doesn't go into the office, or whether they work from home for the first 3 hours, or whether they have some kind of morning routine where they do this, they work out, they go to a coffee shop, they blah, 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 before they start doing calls or whatever, right? So almost all of them control their morning at some level in different ways, right? The other thing that stuck out to me was how many of them practice some form of meditation.
Okay.
And the reason that is significant to what we're talking about is because if you just learn basic, what's it called, transcendental meditation, or TM, I might be saying that wrong, but the basic practice of meditation, this idea of focusing on your breathing or focusing on a certain word, and then when distractions pop into your mind, that's fine, they come in, you let them go, you back to focusing on your breathing. However you want to think about it, right? If you were to go to a performance coach tomorrow and tell them you have trouble concentrating, right, working on a task and seeing it through to completion, what that performance coach is going to tell you, he's going to give you exercises, and they're pretty much meditating. He won't call them meditating, but he'll tell you, look, I want you to focus on this for 3 minutes. It's okay if you're distracted. If something pops in your head, just let it go. Get back. And it's that practice of putting yourself back into focus that actually strengthens your concentration, right, over time, like working a muscle. And so it didn't surprise me that these people practice that, because it's not only do they control the first part of their day, but it's their ability to start a task once they decide where their time should be spent and focus on it till it's completed, right, without getting distracted, without getting pulled in 38 directions. And so for someone like you, based on what you're telling me, this seems to be the CAP strategy that you need, right?
When you say CAP strategy, CAP?
Yeah, Custom Accountability Program.
That's from the book.
Yes. So I have a bunch of different CAP strategies. This one for you, I think, is, look, you can do a lot of appointments from 10 o'clock on, 10:30 on, right? If you need to. You can do plenty of appointments. You can be reactive for the rest of the day if you choose to, right? That's up to you. But if you take those first 2 hours every day to work on your pillars or anything else you see as a proactive priority, not checking your email, not doing this, not doing that, everything will change for you. And here's what I can also tell you. Well, it's not going to be easy at first.
Okay.
Right? Like in my calendar, I've already blocked out the whole year, right? 7 to 10 is already blocked out.
The whole year.
Done. It's in my calendar. I would do the same thing if I was you. 7:30 to whatever time you think you can take your first call. Let's call it 10 or 10:30.
I'm going to try 9:30.
Well, you're saying you're going to go till 9:30, but if you can take your first call at 9:30, that's fine. But block it out, 7:30 to 9:30. Okay.
What do I call it? I'm going to put it on my calendar right now for tomorrow morning.
You can put pillars. I put the word pro, PRO, right? Because that's my proactive time, my proactive significant time, which are usually pillars, but sometimes other things.
All right, 7:30 to 9:30, and I'm going to actually put the pro no meetings, because what happens is people schedule meetings in my calendar.
Right.
So when they see that, they'll go.
Well, I think that's why I'm saying if you don't think you can do a call till, again, I don't know what you use the city for if you go in every day, but
no, I don't.
Yeah, so you don't want to have meetings. You don't want them scheduling meetings at 9:30 if you're heading to the city that day either. So.
Right. So I would. I'll leave it like that, and I could tell them to move it. But you know what? I'll buffer it. You're right. Let me buffer it for 30 minutes. So make it to 10. So I'll work to 9:30, but I know I have a buffer of 30 minutes.
And again, if you can get to the city by 10, I don't know, but.
No, I won't be. It'll take 40 minutes. It takes 55 minutes door to door. So I would have to buffer an hour. So
right.
My next call would be 10:30.
Right. So again, I don't know how often you go to the city or if it's for certain things, but on city days, you should buffer travel time. You should put 9:30 to 10:30 travel. Right?
Yep.
Now, so the first part is great. Now the discipline is, can you protect that time? Right? It's that ability to say that won't work. Can you do it at a different time? Right?
That's gonna be hard because I'm typically,
because you're trying to be service oriented, flexible, customer, focused, all that kind of stuff.
Correct. But I could say this with confidence that, first of all, if it's in my calendar, my SDR, which is my person that books appointments, he looks at my calendar and he says, Karloff can do this demo at this time, and he'll see that I'm off at that hour, so that takes care of him. However, if I have a customer that sends me an email and says, hey, listen, we've got this important decision to make, I have the whole team coming in, can you make it at 9 o'clock on Friday? And right. I'm going to say, yeah, let's make this at 9 o'clock Friday.
Right. Well, hold on. So this is what I would do if I had that, right? I can say, look, I can do John, I can actually do 9:30 if that works. But if not, let me know and I will move my 9 o'clock. Okay. Or I will make room at 9 o'clock. Because sometimes when they say, I have the whole team coming in, can you do it at 9? Don't assume that's the only time they can do it, right? They might have the whole team coming in, but the whole team's coming in for the entire day.
Right. So I could say, yeah.
What I'm saying is it's just a matter of following up a little bit and saying, look, right now I can do 9:30. If that works, that would be perfect. If for some reason it has to be 9, John, I'll make it work. Right? I'll move stuff and make it work. And then what a normal human being is going to do, if 9:30 works, they're going to say, no, 9:30 works. If they're like, no, they're leaving at 10 o'clock, they have another place to be, then that becomes what I call an exception, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, if that's the only time you do that, when someone says, this is the only time we can do it, a decision making is critical, well, that's a good exception to make, right? But
no, exactly.
I don't think there's as many of those as you think.
No. I'm just brought up the only time that would happen. That's the only scenario. The other ones, I could always push back, right? For instance, Moody's is one of my customers, and Chris Thomas is the guy that's the executive there. He occasionally sends me an email and says, "Hey, listen, we were looking at these things. Can you come in? What time can you make it?"
Right.
And I always tell him, well, that, whatever I can make it. So I would definitely not say, "Hey, how about tomorrow at 9?" Because I know I have my pillar strategy between 7:30 and 9:30. So I could always tell him, "Hey, anytime after lunch works for me. What about you?" So it fits. It works.
Yeah. I mean, look, you in your business, you are both the CEO and the sales professional, right?
Yep. And finance and marketing.
Right. Right. So the point is, you need to, that's where salespeople get caught up when they're only the salespeople and they're not strategic and they don't think about stuff and they're not thinking, a month ahead, 2 months ahead, 3 months ahead of, marketing, prospecting, planting seeds now. That's when they get themselves into trouble, right? And
Yeah, and
so
then you become a truly reactive person, and your business starts to fall apart, quite frankly.
100%. And again, now sometimes I'll implement another cap strategy, which you can think about. I call it the if then rule, right? Which is, so you can have certain pillars or whatever where you say, if this happens, then this rule instantly applies. Like, for example, I have workout pillars for myself. I have a basic rule that says, if I'm traveling, then whatever it is, this counts as a workout, right? Like something I do in my hotel room or something.
Got
So
it.
you can have if then rules built into your pillars, right? And you can have if then rules also built into your scheduling. If I miss my 2 hour, or if I have to give up an hour of pillar time, then I add it somewhere else, right?
Yep.
So
And this
maybe that
is
Friday or the following Monday or something becomes a 3 hour window, right?
so you're saying that in this 2 hour window, you can get all your pillars done.
Yeah, that gives you, even if you can't, it's going to give you that 10 hours, because you're doing that every day, right?
That's right.
That 10 hours will give you enough of a head start that you'll be able to complete your pillars during, in between meetings, things like that. Right?
Yeah. So this is exciting. So I could see myself completing a lot of this stuff, really quickly. I might gain time back.
Well, listen, I can tell you right now, you have 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 3.5, 3:45. So let's just call it 4 hours. I'll round up, right? Because all except two of your pillars are based on spending time doing something, right? So you
Yeah.
have 4 hours worth of pillars, in addition to 25 prospecting touches from the sequence and 3 family connects, right? So in
Yep.
theory, I don't know what 25 prospecting touches takes and the 3 family connects,
About
but
an hour each.
okay, so that leaves you 5 extra hours. Does that make sense? Like you can actually look at how long your pillars are going to take. Now, that doesn't mean, just so I'm clear, that doesn't mean from 7:30 to 9:30 you can't take a break. I'm a big believer in breaks, right? I teach clients to work with what I call a relaxed intensity, or actually what a former coach of mine called a relaxed intensity, but with a relaxed intensity, meaning you're slow, strategic, methodical. You start something, you finish it, you take breaks, right? So if you go into my book and you look at the part about planning your day, all right, what I would suggest to you in terms of planning your day is that, you might use it. I put my calendar down on my legal pad every day, right? Starting at 10 o'clock, my appointments start. And what I'm suggesting is, outside of that, in the left column, you would write down the 3 things, you want to complete that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, without getting into a whole training here on that, but by the way, I'm going to do a demo of that for this product, so you'll have access to that. But basically, let's say you list 4 things proactive that you want to get done that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go in order of your pillars. Let's say the 4 things are, I want to do 25 prospecting touches, 1 hour of demo practice, 30 minutes of stories, 30 minutes cleaning my office, right?
Yep.
Well, then so you start working on your 25 prospecting touches, and you don't want to get interrupted, but if you happen to get weak and you get interrupted or you allow something to interrupt you, a moment of weakness, that's all right. Bend, don't break. And let's say it takes you 1 hour and 15 minutes to do your prospecting touches.
Okay.
Then you take a 15-minute break, and then you do a half hour of your demo practice, and now it's 9:30, right? And you have a 9:30 call. Well, do your calls and all that stuff, but here's the thing. When you're done your calls and the next set of downtime you have, you know exactly where to pick up. You got to do your next half hour of that. Then you have to do 30 minutes of stories, right? The idea being that the rule is very simple. You don't start the second thing until you're done the first thing. You don't start the third thing until you're done the second thing. It's a very slow, methodical way of doing things. Does that make sense?
That's slow, methodical, but sequential.
Sequential, because you'll wind up getting way more done. Right?
So let me ask you, if everyone does this, I think everyone will be super, super successful. I mean, this doesn't seem like rocket science.
Of course.
And this is what you've done, and this is why you're successful.
Well, here's the funny part. Just like you, I think both of us would have considered ourselves relatively successful before this.
Yes.
This is now. What'd you say?
I agree. I'm laughing because, I do consider myself very successful.
Right. So, and you probably are. And just like when I teach the pillar system, look, you can get pretty far just based on skills, natural talents, winging it, work ethic, right? But you almost always get to a plateau, right?
Well, I plateaued out. That's
right.
That's the reason why I read your book.
Right. And so the next level, if you truly want to go next level, and when I think of, I mean, I'm very specific when I think of next level. I think of next level like the second level of a house. If you want to get to the point where your floor is now higher than your previous ceiling, right? You're just on a different level.
Right.
Okay. The third thing you have to incorporate, you got to add to work ethic and add to your skill set and your talents, is an actual strategy, right? Because we're not very efficient with our focus. I don't care about our time, as you know from my book. We're not, our focus is limited, and we waste it on things that don't move the needle in a big way. By the way, getting to my side where you execute on your pillars every week, it's become habitual, it's like an open loop that has to be closed, all right? When you get to that point, and then the other way where my 7 to 10 is precious, and I'm not saying that won't ever change. It won't ever become 7 to 9 or 6, whatever. But right now it's been 7 to 10 for years. Once you come to this side, you'll never be able to go back. Ever. It's talk about next level. I couldn't get back to the old way of doing things if I wanted to. I cannot believe that I used to not plan my day every day using my current system. I'm like, what did I do all day? What the hell and I know what I did. I used to work from morning till night. Right?
Yeah, because it's like, oh, look, a shiny penny.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that penny.
Or like for me, someone started laughing the other day. I said something. They're like, wait a second. You don't have email alerts on? And to me, that was so far. And I'm like, why in the world would I want to know every time I got an email? That would be the most counterproductive thing in the world. I can't think of it. Like, it's like purposely putting you're trying to lose weight and you constantly have buffalo wings going in front of you, right? Like you're smelling hamburgers. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you turn that button on?
How do you turn it off?
What, email notifications?
Yeah,
Come on, man.
I got to turn that off.
What do you use, Outlook?
I use Google.
Okay. So I don't know how you do it, but Google it.
You know what? So I could turn off email alerts between 7:30 and 9:30. What a freaking
Good.
concept.
I also, listen, if you're prospecting, right? If you're doing during from 7:30 to 9:30, if you're prospecting, okay? If you're prospecting and you need to use email to prospect, meaning you need to write, you should turn your email, you turn it on what I call airplane mode. I don't know the official name of it, but every system has an airplane mode where you won't get any new incoming emails, right?
Correct.
And so you can craft all the emails you need to do. And then when you're done, you can go back online and it'll just send them all, right?
That's right. It's offline mode, it's called.
Yeah, I just call it, I call it operating in airplane mode, period. I have a function on my cell phone, right? The environment, you got to set up your environment to win. My cell phone has a function where even if my ringer's on, my alarm, whatever, if I put it face down, I don't have to press any buttons. As soon as I put it face down, all that stuff turns off. I have no idea how the phone knows it's face down. I'm sure it's an easy technology. I'm still amazed by it, but as soon as I turn my phone face down, I don't get any messages. Nothing comes through. I don't have to constantly turn off notifications. I just turn my phone face down and it's over, right? I call that working in airplane mode. And I'm not saying don't ever take breaks, and I'm not saying don't ever check your email, but I mean, let's be honest. What is email? Email is really instructions from everyone else telling you what to do next, right?
Yep.
The world's most successful people control their day. Think of the most successful people you ever hear about. How many of them do you think are in reactive mode?
So I watch Shark Tank almost every day. I love that show.
You know, I have a lot of clients who have been on that show, right?
No, I didn't know, but that's good to know.
Well, I guess it depends, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I know that the four that's on the panel, Mr. Wonderful, Mark Cuban, I forgot the other two guys' names, but
I got you. Okay.
They seem like the reason why I like that show because they look like they were so much in control, and my life is in chaos compared to them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to emulate them because it just seems they are 1,000% in control. Any deals that they propose, it's in control. There's not an emotional. There's always a rational, monetary benefit for them in order to even get to a deal. But to get to that state of mind, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's just like in pro football. The people who it's not that there's not talented quarterbacks coming out of college. It's their inability for the game to slow down for them at the pro levels why they can't function. The guys who the game slows down for eventually, they're the ones who are successful, right? Because there's a million quarterbacks who have never made it who can throw as strong or as hard or as accurately as any other quarterback, right?
Right.
But the game never slows down for them. And so, look, everything I'm telling you to do, by the way, this is not human nature. We are designed to survive, right? We are designed to be reactive. There is a dopamine drip we get when we hear the buzz of our phone or we want to scratch that itch. That is our natural state of mind. It is, so you're not like most of my clients at some point will tell me they have ADD. They all do. At some point they all crack and go, I think I have ADD. And I'm not saying there's people who don't genuinely have a medical condition like that. I don't know enough about it. But most of them are just human, right? They just think that everyone else is somehow more disciplined or in control. I'm like, no. I have clients that are uber successful and they're a mess, right? Which, by the way, was me. I mean, I wasn't born this way. I became this way. And when I first developed the pillar system completely for myself, I never had any plans of being a consultant or coach or anything. When I started sharing it with just people I knew, I was like, it opened my eyes as to how everyone operates like this, right?
Yeah, but you said something that, and it's in your book also. You said that there's people who don't even know how to manage washing their clothes. They're always in a state of chaos. But then how do they manage everything if they're also
They don't.
unmanageable?
They,
So how
you mean, how
do
are
they
they
become
success?
successful?
How are
Yeah.
they successful? No, what I said in the book is there are plenty of people who are unorganized.
Mm-hmm.
They're unorganized messes and they're uber successful. And the reason is because what they do focus on, they don't get caught up in the details. They don't worry about every little scenario. But what they do is they focus on the things that make them money and move the needle, right? So
Uh,
there, and some people are, there are people who are naturally that way where they only see the big picture. And so if you'll ever notice people like that, what happens is there's always someone or a staff or something who in a way is kind of cleaning up their mess, right? Who is like, they don't know every detail, they don't know everyone's names, they make mistakes, they this and that, but they see the big picture and that's what they focus on, right?
wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just seems like I've been focusing on the wrong things.
Well, we all are because again, look,
Oh,
what does
wow.
it feel better to do? Cross 30 things off your to-do list or cross one thing off?
30.
Yeah, you feel more accomplished, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But see, people like that don't think of it that way. They're like, okay, I need to get this deal done, which means I need to make John happy, right? They don't get caught up in all the details and all the little things. They focus on making John happy, and then everything will take care of itself, right? Getting John to sign, getting John to believe in his vision. So he gives him the money, the VC money he needs, or whatever it is, right?
Right.
They don't get caught up in all the little things. They probably couldn't even tell you what's on their website, right? It's is that starting to make sense?
Yeah, the way I'm looking at it is I have to close a deal I'm working on, and I've dropped everything because all I'm doing is focus on grabbing that deal. So
Yeah,
it's just almost
it
the same thing.
listen, it's okay to that again. The idea of flash hours that I talk about in my book, right? See, when you start operating this way, when you operate where you control your mornings and then you plan your days and then you methodically go through your days, right?
Hmm.
And you're not going to accomplish a lot of things in terms of number of things you cross off. You're just accomplishing the most important stuff, right?
Right.
The result of that is a lot of the little crap builds up. And it is stuff that has to get done, don't get me wrong. But the answer is flash hours, meaning like right now I'm looking at my to-do list for the day. It's the middle column in my on my list, right?
Right.
I'm looking at my to-do list and it's long. There's a lot of just little things I have to do. Get back to this person, do that, do this, right? I won't even touch that to-do list till 4:30 today. The next
Wow.
time I touch it, it'll be 4:30 because after this call with you, I'm working out because that's one of my pillars, right?
Hmm.
After I work out, I have a 3 o'clock call that's going to go for 1 hour. Then I have a 4 o'clock call that's going to go till 4:30. By 4:30, I'll be mentally exhausted, and then I'll be done. I'll be shut down. Like I won't be answering calls. I won't be whatever. I'll just be knocking out this to-do list. Boom, boom, boom. And it's amazing when you focus for a half hour on these little things, you can knock most of it out in a half hour to an hour. It's when you let them when you're focusing on them all day that it seems like they're taking too long. If that
Yeah, it
that
makes sense. No, it
um
does. I'm wondering if I should put a pillar of closing deals, right? And
that's a goal.
ah,
Yeah, because you don't control how many deals you close.
no, but I do know if I'm working on, let's just say it's the end of my quarter,
Hmm.
quarter, excuse me, it's my New York accent. Um, and I know I'm working on 5 deals. I go to my pipeline and look at my Salesforce, and I got 5 deals committed.
Hmm.
So I want to close all 5 between now and January. It's still a goal.
Hmm.
Okay, never mind.
That's a goal, but is there something more you're saying you could be doing to close them that you might not be doing right now?
No, they're just things. There's steps in the process of closing a deal. The steps are, as you know, I have to get paperwork out, right? So I have the legal contracts, right? I have to get an NDA or an NDA before that process starts. I have to make sure I have the contracts all completed, meaning there's one order form that talks about the description of what they're going to buy and the quantities and the services that go with it. They can't sign that until it's complete. So I've got to get them T's and C's, the terms and conditions, and I got to get them an order form. Those are the two most important pieces.
So you have deals right now that could close, but they're waiting on you?
No, they're waiting on a technical win. So a technical win is where we go through the process of ensuring that they're comfortable that the solution that they potentially could buy is going to meet their needs.
Right. Okay. So, but I mean, if you ever get to the point where deals are waiting to close based on you, that's not a good thing.
No. What I do is I drop everything. Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's not a goal, right? I say, listen, I've got the customer's waiting for.
Yeah, it's urgent and significant.
Urgent and significant. So I'll just put it on a calendar and say 2:00. Get Moody's or Lazard or J.P. Morgan Chase order form complete, update it, revise. Get them to review and acknowledge that their contracts folks agree. And once they agree, then they need to sign it, or we need to sign it first. So that's the process. It's not
in my system, okay, my planning your day system, that would be in the middle column under to-do list, right? It wouldn't go in my calendar at like 2:00, like you said. It would be in my to-do list. The only difference would be I would highlight it in orange, which means it needs to get done by the end of the day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Or there's a consequence, right? The other thing I do on my daily planning that I think could help you with this is when I have something on my to-do list, if I do my part, but I'm waiting on someone else, which I imagine happens a lot for you, you send something, now you're waiting for them to confirm it or reply or get something back to you or whatever it is, then I don't actually cross it off my to-do list. I just put a check mark next to it with a circle, which means I did what I had to do. I'm waiting on something else or someone else, right? See, my whole to-do list is based on the fact that it's about getting crap out of my head so I can keep my bandwidth to do important things, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm gonna send you a video when this call's over, or by the end of the day I'll send it to you. It depends what time we wrap up here. But I saw him live a few times. The guy Darren Hardy, he used to be the publisher of Success Magazine. He wrote The Compound Effect, one of my favorite books. He has this training that I've seen twice now live, and I've watched it on YouTube a few times, called Superachievers versus Overachievers, or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically talks about what you and I talked about today, which was being a superachiever, not an overachiever. An overachiever is someone who gets a lot done, right?
Right.
A superachiever is someone who moves the needle in big ways. Okay?
Yep, that's the 10x factor that Cardone writes in his book.
I think it is. We could be wrong.
You've read that book?
I have.
Yeah, so I listen to it very often.
Yep.
Because first of all, his speech patterns and his tone and it matches mine. So it's a very easy book to listen to. But I that's the kind of 10x that he talks about in his book.
Yeah. So there's a lot of the stuff you and I are talking about today. It's just, to me, it's about a 90-minute talk, and it's the best success summary I've ever heard. Like if you're only allowed to listen to one thing for the rest of your career, to me, this 90 minutes, it just incorporates all the things we're talking about. So I want to get back to actual pillar stuff. See, there's only two reasons you don't hit your pillars. Number one is you don't have the time to hit them, right? Because of what you're saying. Number two is you have the time, but during that time, you find yourself procrastinating, getting distracted, doing other things.
Yep.
And so there's CAP strategies that address both of them. what I think is happening with you, at least on the surface at this point, is you're not protecting the time, right? You're not prioritizing and protecting the time. And that comes down to some of the logistical stuff like we talked about. But it also comes down to, just the belief that these things that you have as pillars are as important as showing up for your meetings, right? They might not have the consequence that day, but from a building your business standpoint, not hitting your pillars should feel like not showing up to meetings. Like, this is how you build your business. And it's, that proactive versus reactive stuff that we keep returning to.
Right. So that's a perfect example. I have daily planning on my calendar, 7:30 every day. Initially, I hit it, and it's only for 30 minutes, 7:30 to 8. Initially, when I was really super jazzed about this, and also when I had a lot more time, I was in my basement. I was doing my. I have a notebook. I flip it open, and I carve out the notebook in 4 columns. I put the schedule on the left. I put the pillar stuff I want to get done next to it on the right. Then on the right of that's my to-do list, and then on the right of that is my personal stuff that I have to get done. Like I have to go to the dry cleaners, or I have to pick up the kids.
Like basically my system.
Exactly your system. Copied it, completely the same. And then every day I get an alert, daily planning. And all of a sudden it's 7:45, it's 8 o'clock, it's 8:30. All of a sudden it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I didn't get it done. So I have to treat my cap time, 7:30 to 9:30, with my daily planning, as urgent and significant. It has to get done.
Like to me, yeah. And I think eventually it becomes not just language, it becomes real, because I can't function correctly if I don't plan my day. Because once in a while, if I get caught up in a mess or a storm or whatever, it's like, I'm all over the place. I'll actually stop what I'm doing, plan my day, and then move on. Because I think it's Dan Sullivan that says this, but strategy doesn't actually take time, it makes time. Right.
So you say the same thing. It's in your book.
Yeah, no, I'm quoting Dan Sullivan in the book. I think I give him credit. So, but yeah, Dan Sullivan, like when you hear that, it makes sense. By you taking 15 or 20 minutes or even a half hour to actually plan your day and figure out what truly is important and all that, and then work, you will get so much more done than if you just jump in, right? Than if you just jump in. Give me 2 planned hours versus 3 to 4 non-planned hours, and the 2 hours will win every time. Again, not in terms of crossing things off, but in terms of moving the needle the most, getting the furthest, right?
Yeah, and it's funny that I should know this, because like I am religious when it comes to me going to the gym. Religious, right? I don't skip a day. And I have a 32 waist, and I still wear large shirts. So I'm lean, but I have muscle. And you don't get that by skipping your gym. You don't get that by not having a routine. And I can't believe I can't transpose what I do physically to my mental capability. I don't know why.
Because it's a priority to you. See, here's let me explain what could be happening here without playing armchair psychologist. Your identity is that of a fit person, right?
Right.
You like the idea of being a fit person. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's your identity. It's not like your wife's going to leave you if you gain 5 pounds, right?
No.
It's not like you're looking to score a date. It's not like,
past that.
Well, right. And I am too. That's why I'm saying it. But that's your identity, right? And you like that identity. One of the CAP strategies for hitting your pillars, and read this section again, is changing your identity. In other words,
I remember that section.
Yes. Most people are the way you are, the way I used to be, the way most of my clients are when they first start talking to me. Okay? one of the things I did early on was I actually wanted to change my identity. I wanted to be a person who hit their pillars. I wanted to be that anomaly that other people just assumed were more disciplined or assumed had it all together, right? That was my identity because I was so far in the other direction that to me it was easier to make a complete change and become that person than it was to put a bunch of hacks in. I want to be the person who tells people when they ask me for a meeting at 9:00, I love saying no. Not in a malignant way, right? Not with malice, but I love the fact, like I'm proud of saying, can't do it, how's 10, right? Like to me, this is my identity. This is how I operate. I hit my pillars. It's what I do. It makes my life easy. I know I have 4 pillars right now. I know if I hit my pillars every week, everything else takes care of itself. Right? That's my identity. I hate working out, which is not a good identity, by the way. It's something I'm thinking about changing, but I just don't like working out. Yet I work out more consistently than 90% of this country for one reason and one reason only. It's one of my pillars and I hit my pillars, right? I am working out after this call more because of my pillars than for the health benefits.
Oh, really? Yeah, I hit my pillar this morning with my workout. I started.
Yeah. But your workouts are more habitual. In a way, they almost don't even have to be pillars because you don't have to focus on them.
Yeah, they're not even on my pillar list, I should say. Yeah.
But anyway, so for me, it was about changing my identity. Every time I was like, oh, man, you can't control your morning. I was like, yeah, that's what everyone else is saying right now. And I don't want to be that person. Right? So to me, that was a cap strategy that worked out extremely well.
Wow.
Extremely well.
Yeah,
anything else?
No. This has been pretty eye-opening. By the way, just to let you know, I bought your book and I gave it to my wife as a gift. So now she's reading it.
Uh-oh. The double pillar killers.
Well, you know what? She started seeing a change. And she asked, what are you doing? I said, it's hard to explain. Let me give you what I'm doing. And I bought it for her.
I'm going to cut that audio out and use it to promote my book.
Well, I could tell you, the book actually says you need to have people who support you.
Of course.
So why not have her read it so she understands when I tell her, I can't do that between 7:30 and 9:30. And she'll ask me, why? It looks like you're open. I'm like, I'm not. I'm doing my pillars. She goes,
right.
Oh, you got it. So are you available at 10:30? Yes. So
yeah, my what I call the PG partner in the book, my PG partner, if me and him ever had a falling out, right, where I kicked his dog or something, and although knowing him, he'd be fine if I kicked his dog, but no, if we ever had a falling out, it would make my life very hard.
Okay.
Because I count on having that open line of communication with someone who gets it, right?
Yep.
Who gets it, who knows, like that's critical. You should not be doing this on an island.
No, right? And that's why I bought the book for her. As soon as I read that part, I said, I got to show a change. I got to show some success. And when she notices it, I'll explain it, but I'm not going to explain it because she's going to probably think, oh, that's just another fad you're going through.
Well, you know what? It might be. We'll see how it holds up, right?
I hope it's not. I can't afford it anymore to have a fad in it.
Well, again, and it's also, you got to be careful. This thing works on the compound effect. I mean,
well, I want to read that book.
Yeah, it's a great book, but this works on the compound effect, and so. Sometimes it feels like your pillars are getting you nowhere. And then down the road, when things start changing for you, you kind of look in the rearview mirror and you go, yeah, now I get why things are changing. Because week in and week out, I'm doing my prospecting. I'm tightening up my messaging. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I could say there's 100% that my day has been completely filled because of all the proactive things I'm doing. Absolutely.
And let me kind of leave you with this, is the part in the book that talks about this a little bit, but bend, don't break. Meaning if you don't hit your pillars one week, not the end of the world, right? The goal is never miss twice, right? But I think I call it rewarding the comeback in the book. Even if your whole day falls apart on you and it's 1:00 in the afternoon and you still haven't even planned your day, stop what you're doing, plan the rest of your day, execute on those few things. Like, that is what I mean by bend, don't break. Don't throw in the towel like, oh, this doesn't work, or I'm never going to do this, or it. Like, if you're counting on being perfect at first, it ain't going to happen.
No.
Until pillars become a habit, until they genuinely feel like an itch that has to be scratched and it's not even logical anymore, until you get there, and you will, you've got to have a bend, don't break.
Yeah, and that basically gives you the amount to ensure that if you do break, then you give up. But if you bend and don't give up, you have the opportunity to come back. So I forgot in engineering there's a word for that when you design things.
You design them so they can have failure points.
Yeah, exactly, and you have a contraction and
Plasticity.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I've been notorious. I've done that in the past when I've like tried to lose weight and stuff, where you eat bad for like one weekend or something. You're like, I'm never, and you throw the whole thing away, right? And it's not the way to go. So
I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum, and people hate me for it, but I have to reduce my cardio, and I have to eat more, or else I'll get too thin.
Add another person to the list of people who hate you for that.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. So do me a favor, give it about a month.
Okay.
And just check in with me by email or something, and I'd like to hear where you're at and see if we need to jump on a call again.
Oh, I definitely. Do I have your email?
I don't know. I imagine since we emailed back and forth multiple times, it's on there.
No, because I invited you. I had to have your email to put you on my invite, so I have it.
Okay.
All right, about a month. That would give me the.
If not, just go to productivitygiant.com. You can grab everything there.
You going to send me something at the end of the day?
I have on my to-do list now to send you the Darren Hardy video.
Okay.
And however, it's not in orange. So although I'd like to do it, and I will do my best to do it, there is a chance it won't happen, and I'll be okay with that.
Okay.
Right? And again, I'm not saying that to be, I'm saying that's my mentality. Like, okay, this is something I do want to do, but I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to do it. And I'm saying that not because you care. I'm saying for the sake of this lesson, it goes on my to-do list, but a lot of people, this would divert them, right?
Yes.
They'd go, they'd look it up, they'd start listening to it, they'd send it, they'd see another video, right?
I'm on YouTube, and I think I found it.
Okay.
Compound Effect audiobook complete by Darren Hardy.
No. Well, that's the compound effect. I'm talking about super achiever versus overachiever. It's a 90-minute video. It's a tape of him live.
Ah, okay.
So you may be able to find it. I'm going to send it to you anyway.
Perfect. I really appreciate this. I'm going to send you an email, and it's on my to-do list, and I'm going to put it on my calendar, because then it'll be urgent significant to send you an email in 30 days.
Sounds good, man.
And I really appreciate this time, Brian. This is very valuable. It's invaluable.
Awesome. I appreciate you participating. This is great. Have a great holiday.
Thank you. You too. Happy New Year.
You as well.
Thank you again. Take care.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Simplify Your Strategy, Magnify Your Results. If you know someone you think could benefit from this episode, be their hero and share it with them. If you'd like a free copy of my book, or you want to be considered as a guest on a future episode, head on over to productivitygiant.com. Have a great day, and thanks again.